Thank you very much, everybody. No, I would like to thank really our resource persons coming from our LGUs for sharing their experiences and their thoughts on how to make ESPAS a better system. Kasi we will now be proceeding to the open forum in a few moments. But let me just take this opportunity to point out that we cannot possibly answer all the questions that you have posted right now. But our project management team has been monitoring all of the questions that are being posted. Here's a Zoom in the question and answer feature of Zoom, as well as in our chat box, as well as monitoring all questions at our Facebook and YouTube accounts. And we will ensure that we are able to reach back to you in order to address your different questions. No? Maraming questions yung similar siya, but there are also very unique questions coming from all of you. So as mentioned earlier, the purpose really of the sharing of our LGUs is to capture ano yung experience nila, ano yung mga magandang nagawa nila, and then ano yung mga challenges nila that they have encountered. Even in the case of Misamis, for example, although it has activated its account, but it has not fully used the system yet, ano yung mga apprehensions nila? Why they are not yet fully using the system, so that collectively we can come up with a better way of implementing ESPAS. So yun lang yung gusto kong sabihin. We will monitor your questions even if you are not able to raise them here. We will really make sure that we will be able to get back to you. And as such, we can now proceed to our open forum. We only have around 30 minutes for our open forum session. And you can post questions to be answered by anybody of our panelists here. So we are glad that General Lister is still here. I think we have representatives from DILG, from OCD, and even from our ULAP members, LPP, tsaka LCP. And of course, our resource persons are all here. So I think I will now turn over sa kay Novi yung pag-moderate for our open forum portion. Thank you, Novi.
Thank you, sir. So as mentioned, we will now proceed to our open forum session. So some of our questions were already answered online using the chat box and the Q&A box. But we have a few more questions that which we can raise here live, and it can be answered from anyone in the panelists. So just to inform everyone, as mentioned then by Director Rowan, we have limited time, but we will try to accommodate your questions as much as we can. And of course, para po sa lahat ng ating mga attendees, please introduce yourself po and your agency affiliation before proceeding to your questions. So while the questions are still coming in, we have taken note po of some from the chat box and the Q&A box. So meron po tayong in response po sa presentation of LGU Biliran. This is from Norby Casabal from Zambales. Sabi niya, sir, we already enjoy the support of the PUVs entering Zambales in the implementation of ESPAS. TCP is now required before boarding PUV, since we cannot check all passengers upon entering the province. So yun po. And we also have a question from LGU Subic from Ms. Eva Devaraturda. Question po ni ma'am is, where can the LGU source out the needed funds for the operations of ESPAS in our municipality? Thank you po.
I think yung question about where to source the funds is a little bit difficult to answer from our end. I think the LGUs are in a better position to really look into the necessary resources for implementing ESPAS. I'm not really sure as to the perspective of OCD. Andito naman si RD Bobby representing our OCD regional offices. But I'm not sure if the calamity fund or the response fund of the LGUs can also be used for this, because we have to take note there is a declaration of a state of national health emergency. And from my perspective, I'm not very familiar with this one, but I think since we are in a state of emergency or calamity, then our calamity funds, among others, can also be used. No? So depende talaga sa LGU yan on the necessary sources of the funds for implementing SPAS. No? We have taken note, for example, yung case ng Ilocos Sur. No? I was really amazed by the massive infusion of resources that they allocated for SPAS implementation. They really hired people to man 24/7. No? Very amazing, 24/7 yung pag-man ng kanilang back-end, yung kanilang operation center, as well as manning also the physical borders that they share with the other LGUs. So parang ang galing na kanilang allocation of resources. In other LGUs, we do recognize that they have limited resources also. So it's really up to the local government unit on how to on deciding, no? Magkano ba talaga yung allocate natin sa ating SPAS implementation. Kung isipin natin talaga, minimal lang naman kung isipin mo siya. Kasi kailangan mo ng personnel, of course, to monitor the applications na pumapasok sa ating LGU. And of course, as mentioned by General Idizar, no? The PNP stations can be requested to really assist our local government units in implementing SPAS. So parang wala siyang straight answer dito sa question na to because of course the situation and the available resources among our LGUs are actually differing, no? Medyo magkaiba siya. So mukhang the best institution to really address that one is are actually the LGUs themselves, no? I think RD Bobby Nunez of OCD6 is here. May we get his opinion if the LGUs can actually use their calamity fund in order to support the financial resources needed for implementing SPAS?
Yes, thank you so much for that, RD Rowan. Good morning, everyone. With regards to the utilization of the said, what do you call this, the disaster funds, no? Because as mentioned earlier, we really have to submit our local disaster risk reduction management plan because it's easier for us to identify of which calamity fund that you really have to do. Because we have 70% for the operations and we have this 30% for the quick response fund. And it's up to the local government unit and how to address the said concern. But until now, no, there's only limited member, what do you call this, local government unit who have been submitting their LDRMP, which we have to certify it, then we have to correct it. But ongoing naman po yung LDRIM plan review natin. But unfortunately, there were still some LGU na really need to address this concern. So it's very easy, no? You have every regions now naman yung Office of Civil Defense. You can call the attention of our OCD regional offices and don't hesitate to address this concern to the planning section of the office. Thank you.
Alright, so maraming salamat po. May attendee po tayo that has a question. We will get to you, Sir Paul, after this question. So, ang next ko po na babasahin is from PSPC, DOST Zamboanga del Sur, from Sir Christian Carresende. Here are some of the observations and concerns we have met on the implementation of the system in Zamboanga del Sur. Sabi ni Sir Christian, first po, SPAS application for those families traveling using a private vehicle or even public PUVs. Number 2, municipal LGUs are requesting for an automatic posting of records on their accounts for travelers, which is only reflected on the provincial account since scanning is done on border controls. Third, submitted IDs for the TPPs are selfies, which the LGUs has no control since it is automatically approved. Number 4, age requirement. Do we conform daw po with the allowed age restriction, which is 10 to 65 years old? And last, enforcement of hotlines. Some hotlines daw po are provided in the system of the municipal LGUs are unreachable or not answering. So these are all duly noted po. And for the next, may I request po si Sir Paul Jordan Arbado to ask a question now. Okay, so while waiting po sa kay Sir Paul, I think General Eliazar po has a few thoughts to share. Sir?
Yes, thank you very much, Novi. Yeah, yung kaninang sa presentation, well, first I would like to commend and really appreciate the efforts of those who have presented, lalo na itong mga LGUs na ito na talagang nakita o na-appreciate yung ating SPAS. Now, dun sa comment ng Bago City regarding the ECQ and MECQ, tama yun. Just like what I've said earlier na kung ECQ at MECQ, talagang ang non-APOR hindi pwede mag-travel. So itong ating SPAS, supposed to be, ang pagkakaintindi ko, these are only for non-APORs. That is why I would like to suggest sa ating system administrator na nung ating SPAS na ito na once na dineclare na ECQ or MECQ sa lugar, dapat ma-override na yung system natin na hindi ka pwedeng pumunta dyan or hindi ka pwedeng lumabas. So I would like to suggest that to Direk Rowen. Ngayon, dun sa isang issue na pinag-uusapan natin, well, wala kasing problema kung by land lang eh. Tama, di ba, na sa mga boundary like Laguna and Quezon, usually, para sa amin mga nagche-check, nasa checkpoint, kung restricted yan kasi ang assumption kasi natin, kung unrestricted ka, you don't have to check at least for the TCP or TPP. You can check on other documents like RT-PCR. Kagaya sinabi ko nga, dalawang restriction natin, nililiwanag natin. Yung requiring for coordination, which is TCP and TPP, and the other one is just para sa restricted area na dadaanan mo. Doon sa iba naman, you can check on other health protocol. Usually, yun kasing LGU na pupunta, no, papasukan mo, siya nagche-check. For example, galing kang Manila, nasa Laguna ka, pupunta ka ng Quezon, yung police ng Quezon ang magche-check ng papasok. Yung palabas, wala po kang pakialam. Usually, kung palabas, wala tayong pakialam doon eh, di ba? Yung papasok ang ating concern natin. So, yung galing ngayon ng Quezon, pupunta ng Laguna, kung restricted Laguna, yun nagche-check. Iba ang sitwasyon, kagaya po ng mga binibring out natin na concern, doon pag galing ka sa airport, o kaya galing ka ng seaports, kasi nga, lilipad ka. Doon kasi sa Chaong, pag galing ka sa San Pablo, pwede kang i-U-turn. Ganun din yung kabila. Pero pag sa aeroplano, dumating ka na, ang hirap pabalikin at naandun ka na. Which brings to the discussion na una ang tanong natin is ganito. Yung bang airport nung destination, nung LGU na yun, is restricted or unrestricted? Kasi kung unrestricted yun, for example, specific tayo, papunta na Cebu. Pag land mo ngayon sa airport doon, that is Lapu-Lapu City. Kung unrestricted siya, supposed to be, hindi dapat na i-check kung meron kang TCP or TPP. Kasi nga, the LGU doesn't require for coordination. Pwede mo i-check kung may PCR test, kung ano man yan, pero not the TPP or TCP. Whether you are going to Cebu, mahigpit doon, o doon sa ibang lugar, it doesn't matter. Pero kung yung Lapu-Lapu City is restricted, by all means, pagdating pa lang, i-check na kung meron kang TCP, kung doon ang final destination mo sa Mactan o Lapu-Lapu, o kung makikiraan ka lang, pupunta ka sa Cebu City o Cebu Province, dapat meron kang TPP. Pero pwede pong gawin natin, dahil nga sa hindi man pwedeng pabalikin o mag-U-turn, we can always arrange doon sa panggagalingan niya, for example, Manila, na for restricted area, na for example nga, yung pupuntahan mo na LGU is restricted, pwedeng doon pa lang ibili na natin sa ABSI Group or sa airline na kung yung pupuntahan niya, dapat doon i-check na kung meron siyang TCP. Kung ang pupuntahan niya na area is restricted. Ngayon, ang tanong ngayon is papaano kung unrestricted nga yung pupuntahan? So, dapat wala nga requirement, di ba? Pero makikiraan siya, may pupuntahan siya na restricted. So, dapat TPP. Even though supposed to be yung LGU na yon is hindi na mag-require ng TPP or TCP, but we can request na meron pa silang TPP. Meaning to say, kung medyo nakakalitong man, ang sinasabi ko is kung ito ay airport or seaport, whether yung pupuntahan natin is restricted or not, yung lalandingan, we can always require na i-check kung TPP or may TCP. TCP, kung yung lalandingan o yung airport na pupuntahan ngayon, yung LGU na yon is restricted. At TPP naman, kung hindi siya restricted. I-require na rin natin yun. At least man lang doon sa airport from Manila, yung airport na aalisan nila, doon pa lang is pwede na nating ma-check yun. That could be arranged kung yun po yung inyong mga concern natin. So, and then kagaya ng anong role ba ng ating PNP nga, sinasabi nga po natin, ang PNP natin is depende dun sa restriction sa area kung at kami lang susunod lamang po dun sa LGU concern, whether sa probinsya or sa city or municipality, dun sa may implement na gustong ipatupad ng ating mga LGUs. At yun lang comment ko lang po dun sa ating presentation kanina mga LGUs. Thank you.
Novi?
Yes, sir.
Yes, siguro gusto ko din i-share yung ginagawa ng aming local government units dito. In particular, Iloilo City and the province of Iloilo. Because they are also declaring our LGUs to be on restricted status, and they also require TCPs for people coming from other regions, particularly from Manila, Cebu, and other parts of the country. They come up with very specific executive orders on yung mga requirements nila, and then they really reach out to the airlines. No? So they call the airlines for a meeting. They tell them na ito yung requirement ng Iloilo City sa Province of Iloilo. And normally, doon pa lang sa boarding gates ng mga airlines, they already implement whatever the local government units are requesting. Based on our observation kasi, our airline companies will really follow generally ano yung conditions ng ating destination LGUs. No? So it's also one of the suggestions that we would like to share to our LGUs. Maybe we really need to touch base also with our different transport companies so that they will be aware of the requirements incoming into your localities. Right now, we also have parallel efforts to touch base with the Department of Transportation. No? So yung ating LPP, si Ma'am Sandy, actually contacted the OTR and requesting for the possible issuance of a memorandum to our transport companies for them to really look into the requirements of our LGUs and impose them to passengers that are boarding for flights or embarking on travels to these LGUs. At the same time, on the part of DOST, we have also actually written a letter to DOTR. It was signed by Secretary de la Peña, and we are hoping that Secretary Tugade will be able to consider our request for the same memorandum. And of course, to our members of the LPP and LCP Viber groups, I have also mentioned, and this was also mentioned by Secretary de la Peña earlier, that we plan to create already our advisory committee or advisory council, and we are asking the OTR to be part of it, no? So that that can become a platform where these policy issues can be discussed, so that everything can be cleared out at our level. No? So siguro naman, with all of those efforts, we can address this concern of our travelers and of course the concerns of our local government units. Okay, I think we can entertain questions. No, so maybe you can just raise your hand if you want to ask a question. And for those that have posted questions in our chat box, we actually take note of all of your questions. If ever that we cannot answer them right now, we will come up with the appropriate responses and send them back to you.
Yes po. Thank you, Director Rowan, and also to General Aliazar. Our next question po is from an anonymous participant. Yung question po is related to sa previously discussed din. The question is, will there be sanctions for LGUs who are passive or always leave their incoming TCPs hanging and not participative in implementing SPACs?
Siguro, Novi, allow me to respond to that one. Ano? Actually, we have been trying to reach out to our local government units and reminding them that they really need to take action on the pending TCPs. Kasi dalawa lang naman yung action natin dyan coming from the LGU. Either you approve the request for TCP or you disapprove these TCPs. Whatever your action may be, based on your current assessment of your situation, it really does not matter to us kasi it's the call of the LGU whether to approve or disapprove the request. But very, very, very important, please take action on the request kasi we will be violating yung ating ease of doing business and strengthening yung public governance natin na law. Critical yon, no? If you think you need to disapprove the request, okay yan kasi depending yan sa assessment ng local government unit whether they will accept the application or not. But very important, huwag nating i-leave na hanging or nakapending yung TCP application. In fact, the other week, we already had an initial discussion with yung ating ARTA office, no? And we have a small group discussion already, DOST, DOH, DILG, DICT, and we have actually requested also our DILG secretary to consider issuing a memorandum to our LGUs that we have to take action on the request. Whether approved or disapproved, it doesn't matter to us. But kailangan hindi nakabitin yung application ng ating mga travelers, no? Kasi we will be violating the ARTA law in the event na hindi pa yan na-actionan yung kanilang mga requests, no? So, and we also expect that one of these days, yung office natin sa ARTA will be coming up with issuances to remind our local government units on the need to take action on the request of our travelers, no? So, again, sa part naman ng SPAS, we also help monitor sa mga LGUs yung medyo maraming nakapending na mga TCP applications. And we also make sure that we can touch base with our focal persons and remind them that ito na yung number of TCPs na medyo nakapatong-patong na, and it's also bad for the system kasi nakaklag yung system. It will take a longer time to process the applications. Pag nakatambak na yan, nakapila na yan, no? So I hope that this issue can be addressed collectively by us, particularly by our local government units. Thank you, Nob.
Yeah. Novi,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead po.
Yes. Idagdag ko lang kasi nakita ko yung merong isang comment kay Ma'am Sheila regarding dun sa walang problema tayo dun sa airport, pwede nating i-arrange sa ABSE group and even maritime group or even sa Coast Guard through the Joint Task Force COVID Shield na pag-aalis kayo ng isang area, ng isang port, alamin natin kung meron kang TCP or TPP. Ibig sabihin ng TCP, yung pagdating mo doon sa city na pupuntahan mo, restrict, o doon ang destination mo at restricted yung pupuntahan mo. Pero kasi kung ang pupuntahan mo is unrestricted, talagang TPP lang dalhin mo at saka makapag-print out ka. Ngayon, pagdating kasi sa by land, kung ang travel mo is by land, we cannot require the PNP along the way na dadaanan mo na mag-check sila kung unrestricted yung LGU o probinsya na yon. Kasi nga, ang assumption natin, if you are an LGU na unrestricted, hindi kayo na-expect na mag-check ng kung meron kang TCP or TPP, kung makikiraan ka man o hindi. Well, kung yun ng final destination is yung lugar mo, hindi ka nag-require. How much more kung makikiraan ka? So it is always the responsibility nung pupuntahan mong lugar, kung siya ay restricted, to check kung may dala kang TCP or not. And ang PNP natin is very much willing to help that kung restricted yung lugar na yun. Ang challenge lang natin is kung hindi by land ang dadaanan mo lahat. Kung nagsakay ka ng aeroplano, nagsakay ka ng barko, doon tayo papasok ngayon para ma-inform natin yung doon sa pagpasok mo pa lang o paalis ka pa lang sa lugar, i-check na kung meron kang TCP or TPP. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, General. For our next question po, this is from Mr. Kim Patrick Agbayani, and the question is for the Provincial LGU of Ilocos Sur. Good morning po. Question lang po sa focal person ng Provincial LGU Ilocos Sur. Since strict po ang provincial border control points nyo and doon na po na-check ang SPAS ng mga pumapasok, nag-check pa rin po ba kayo ng component LGUs or destination LGUs nyo? Thank you po. Hello, sir. Okay, so I think we'll put this on hold for a moment po. Let's just wait for the focal person from Ilocos Sur to go back online po. So for the next question, we have another from Miss Anne Arenga. Sabi niya po, with the experiences and best practices shared by the different LGUs, what are the improvements that you envision for the ESPA system to make it more universal in use? So this can be, I think, answered by the development team or the project team.
Sige, let me answer na lang that one on behalf of the project team. Continuous naman po yung improvement ng ating ESPAS system. In fact, when we started the ESPAS, because of the consultation between DILG and LPP, the decision was that the control of the approval ng travel coordination permit should be lodged at the provincial level. And what we have done right now is that we have modified the system so that the provincial account can actually allow the municipal LGUs to exercise that function. So marami na siyang nabago doon sa ating system. And that's really the reason also why we are having our implementation meeting workshop right now. Kasi all of your suggestions, kasama na yung hindi na natin mababasa ngayon kasi it's almost 12 o'clock and we need to already end activity. Please don't worry because all of those questions you have posted will be reviewed by us and we will try to get back to you if you have registered with your email addresses. If we cannot anymore contact you kasi anonymous yung pag-post ng question, we will post the answers and responses through our Facebook page, our ESPAS website, as well as the Viber groups ng ating LPP at LCPs. So marami tayo. We are, of course, trying to come up now with a parallel effort to spin off a mobile app version ng ESPAS. Kasi as you are aware, ang ESPAS kasi which is being used by our LGUs and our individual persons are still nasa web-based pa siya, internet-based pa siya na website, but we are now developing the mobile app na version. At the same time, we also take note yung mga suggestions. Kanina, one of the suggestions ng Biliran LGU is really to come up with an SMS notification system. We will be doing that one. Just give us enough time to really continue improving our system. So lahat po ng inyong suggestions, we are taking note and we will be able to assess, particularly if we are able to activate already our ESPAS Advisory Committee or Council, then we can assess all the different recommendations sa technical side, sa policy side, and then come up with something that is more responsive to the requirements ng ating local government units. So tuloy-tuloy po yung ating development ng system, tuloy-tuloy po yung ating improvement, and every now and then, we post sa ating Viber group, sa ating Facebook page, ano yung mga latest feature ng ESPAS in response to suggestions coming from our users. Talagang nakikinig po kami sa LGUs, kaya nga we have this activity kasi we would like to hear from you because nobody can compete against you when it comes to actual usage ng ESPAS on the ground. Yung development team, dito po kami, pero yung gumagamit talaga sa field, yung nagmaman ng mga checkpoints, yung nagmaman ng ating operation centers are our local government units. So kami po ay talagang makikinig sa inyo. So thank you so much for that question, Nov.
Thank you, sir. So while we're waiting po for Engineer Nagapatan sa ating pong on hold na question, I'll just read yung isang comment po.
Hello, ma'am? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, to answer yung question nyo po kanina, doon lang po sa mga borders namin kami nag-i-screen. Kasi meron pong order si Governor na provincial level po yung guidelines. So hindi niya po pinayagan yung mga municipalities at saka component cities namin na mag-set ng kanilang guidelines to avoid confusion po at para po may uniformity sa mga guidelines. So doon lang po sa mga border namin. As per naman sa mga destination na LGU, ang require po namin na ina-upload sa SPAS ay yung letter of acceptance from the LGU of destination, na kung saan naka-indicate doon na sila po ay talagang taga doon sa lugar na yon at kung ano po ang purpose nila sa kanilang pag-travel. Yun po, ma'am.
Thank you very much po, sir. So we just have a comment po and also a question from Sir Wilfredo Lorenzo Jr. So good morning. For the successful implementation daw po of SPAS in certain remote municipalities or remote provincial LGU border control points, wherein direct internet access subscription is very expensive, the only possible internet connectivity option that telcos can provide. Can BICP provide the necessary interventions like internet provisions for this undertaking? And another question, also from Sir Wilfredo, for LGUs with minimal manpower and ICT resources, is it okay that we include in our LGU requirements that TCPs should be submitted at least 2 days prior to date of travel or arrival to an LGU destination? Thank you. So anyone from the panelists can answer the question of Sir Wilfred.
Novi, I was not able to listen to the question. I was reading another question. But kasi I was reading the question of Sheila from Lano, of course, no? And again, she ventilated yung concern nila kasi yung point of entry nga, pag hindi sa kanilang LGU mismo, medyo maluwag sa pag-check ng SPAS compliance, no? So as mentioned, we have been mentioning earlier, we are coordinating kasi very critical dito si DOTR, lalo na sa seaports at sa airports, no? So we are coordinating this one with them, and we're hoping we can get a positive response coming from them, no? Talagang very challenging siya. As we have been pointing out, there are 1,800 LGUs all over the Philippines. And iba-iba kasi yung line of thinking ng ating LGU management. And it's so difficult also to impose on all of the 1,800 LGUs a common mindset on how to address COVID-19. Particularly since there are different conditions sa ating mga LGUs, no? So maybe it's really impossible for us to come up with a solution that is 100% responsive doon sa pangailangan ng ating mga LGUs. I have been pointing out that what we will try to do is that we will be able to develop a system that will address the most number of concerns ng ating mga local government units. But I have to be very candid with you. It's very, very difficult to come up with a system that will be able to capture everything, no? Kasi walang ganon. Yung sabi ko nga, everyday kasi nababago yung scenario natin. Everyday, yung LGU mo na dati napakaluwag sa pag-accept ng mga traveler, the following week nagka-problema na siya. So they have to immediately change their travel policy. And even those that have been imposing restricted travel policies, kung minsan nakikita nila mukhang okay naman tayo. So pwede nating luwagan yung movement ng goods and people in our LGUs, no? So ganun ka-dynamic ng sitwasyon sa ground. And very challenging talaga yung SPAS implementation, no? Yung sabi nga ni Ma'am Sheila, yung challenge talaga is that pag yung dinadaanan mo na LGU, unrestricted siya, open siya sa lahat, it will be very difficult to impose upon them to man the borders, no? So talagang best efforts tayo dito kasi ang hirap talaga mag-come up ng solution that will be able to address all the specific requirements of our LGUs. But rest assured that we will continue to think of ways, no? Hindi naman tayo nagkukulang sa paghanap ng possible solution. That we can assure you. We might not be able to find the solution, but what we can assure you 100% is that we will not stop looking for a solution. So ganun yung ating mindset dito sa SPAS. And I think we need to have just one or two more questions again. It's actually noontime already. And can you just relay again yung question, Novi, in general terms?
Yes po. Yung question po ni Sir Wilfredo is basically about yung internet connectivity po sa mga provincial LGU border control points. So yung gist po ng question is, can DICT provide the necessary interventions like internet provisions for this undertaking daw po?
We hope the ICT can actually help us. No, I think this issue has been raised by our LGUs even before the official launching of SPAS. No? During one of our meetings with the LPP, this was already raised by no less than the President of ULAP, si Governor Dax ng Quirino. He already mentioned na sana makatulong naman yung government agencies natin sa pagbigay ng internet connectivity. Ito kasi yung major limitation sa strength ng SPAS. This is run by internet. We cannot implement SPAS without internet connectivity. Yan yung reality natin. No? Yung kanyang mga features cannot be made possible without the internet. No? So yun yung number one yan na limitation. But that is also its main strength. Dahil sa internet, kaya niyang gawin yung mga features niya. No? So we will just relay these concerns sa DICT. Ano naman natin yung DICT naman, tuloy-tuloy yung effort to give internet connectivity sa ating mga local government units. But I hope that we can relate to them to give priority, particularly at the remote areas where borders are usually located. Kasi admittedly, ito namang yung mga border areas na to, dito medyo spotty yung internet kasi hindi naman to populated na mga areas. No? Kaya wala masyadong infrastructure for internet connectivity in those parts of the country. But we're hoping that as we jointly implement SPAS, sama-sama natin maghanap ng solution for this one. No? So thank you for those questions. May mga other questions pa. No? We will not be able to address anymore all of those questions. But let me take this opportunity to inform you na syempre, just like any other system, meron tayo mga limitations sa hardware, may limitations sa software, may limitations sa personnel. So best efforts talaga to para lang matugunan ang problema natin sa travel management. No? So tayo naman, we are harnessing the resources of the government in order to ensure that mami-minimize natin yung downtime. But nevertheless, let me really tell you that hindi talaga maiiwasan yung downtime. Kasi every now and then talagang biglang magsa-surge yung gumagamit ng ating internet. And of course, we also ensure that we monitor religiously yung mga adverse elements in society that are trying also to jeopardize the system. So hindi natin maabot yan. Mayroon talaga diyang mga persons na iba naman yung kanilang gawain dyan, susubukan talaga nilang i-undermine yung system natin. And every now and then, when the system slows down, it's really partly because we are strengthening and ensuring that no untoward and unwanted intrusions into the SPAS system will be made by these people. No? So, ganun po yung ginagawa natin. And pagpasensyahan nyo na, if every now and then, slow down yung system, ibig sabihin yan, we are maintaining the system, we are protecting the system, and it is our desire to really go back as soon as possible to our normal level of operations. No? So I think it's really almost noontime, and I think, as mentioned earlier, don't worry if we were not able to answer your questions here. We promise to you, talagang titingnan namin yan, babasahin namin isa-isa yan. We will incorporate that in the newer versions of SPAS and address also to the concerned government agency if these are things that need their attention. So thank you, Novi.
Thank you po, Sir Rowan. So we have definitely covered some very important issues and concerns this morning. Maraming salamat po sa lahat na nag-participate. Again, for questions na hindi po inabutan, you may refer po. We will get back to you sa inyo po mga questions. These are all noted po sa aming Google Sheet link actually. And may mga we can also refer you po sa ating hotline numbers which will be posted po sa ating chat box for your reference. Now, to officially close this morning's activity, may we request the DOST Undersecretary for Technical Services and the current officer in charge of the Office of the Undersecretary for Regional Operations, Dr. Renato U. Solidum Jr., to give his closing message. Sir?
Thank you, Nove. Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, Yusek Ipamaco Densing III, DILG Undersecretary for Operations, Police Lieutenant General Guillermo Lorenzo Elizar, PNP Deputy Chief for Administration, governors, mayors, and LGU representatives, our SPAS project team, headed by DOST6 Regional Director, Engineer Rowan Gilonga, co-public servants from the DILG, PNP, and DOST, partners, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning or good noon, and thank you for joining us in this workshop meeting on SPAS project orientation. I must say, it has been a very productive morning. This activity has not only brought us together to discuss about SPAS project developments. What is more, it allowed us to meet virtually and see the faces of our partners in this very important task that was assigned to us. That is, to help in controlling the spread of the dreaded coronavirus using an IT-based travel management system. More importantly, it also allowed us to learn from the best practices and even from the issues, concerns, and challenges shared to us by some of our LGU partners who have been implementing the system already. Their inputs will definitely be used to further improve the SPAS system as well as the mechanism of implementing the same. As mentioned by our secretary, since the official launch of SPAS last March 26 this year, around 69% of our LGUs have achieved or have activated their accounts and are already using the system. We have also recorded around 700,000 persons who have registered in the system, and we are anticipating that these figures will go up in the coming days. This, of course, would not have been possible without the support from our partners. The nod we got from the IATF for the management of emerging infectious diseases when it issued resolution number 101 on February 26, 2021 was what helped push for the nationwide deployment of the system. And for this, we are very grateful. The DILG, led by Secretary Anyo and Yusek Dansing, has been a real good partner to us. We felt your unwavering support since day one. Without your help, SPAS would not have gotten this much attention from our target users. Of course, to our Police Lieutenant General Eliazar, who's been very, very helpful, not even in the decision-making, design, but most importantly, in speaking about SPAS, maraming salamat po. Pwede na po kayong spokesperson ng SPAS maliban kay Director Rowan. I would like to also express our sincerest gratitude to the 83 LGUs who have already adopted the SPAS travel management system. Thank you for trusting us to be your partners in keeping your community safe. To the Leagues of Provinces of the Philippines, the League of Cities of the Philippines, and the League of Municipalities of the Philippines, please know that we appreciate the support you are giving us. We are honored to have had this privilege to work with you in this endeavor. Again, a snappy salute to the Philippine National Police, headed by Police General Dibold Sinas and Police Lieutenant General Elazar. Thank you for your assistance. Surely, the implementation of this undertaking will not be as smooth without your help. This workshop meeting has been a venue for showing our renewed commitment to make this undertaking a success. Thank you for your attendance and support, and please keep safe, everyone. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Sulido. Well, this officially ends our workshop meeting for today. Again, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng guests, sa ating mga VIPs, sa ating mga LGU partners from LCP, LPP, and LMP, sa mga DOST regional directors at focal persons, sa ating mga resource persons from the LGUs, sa mga SPAS users po na nanonood. Maraming salamat po for joining us and for giving your thoughts and your concerns po sa ating travel management system. Again, magandang araw at mag-ingat po tayong lahat.
Thank you, everyone.